Hello everyone and welcome to day 3 of the 2024 Advent of Code. Today I'm going to try and get through the video a little bit snappier than for day 2. I think the last video was about 25 minutes, which is a little bit long. So what I'm going to do is hello everyone and welcome to day 3 of the 2024 Advent of Code. I'm going to be doing this solution in Python. And I'm going to try to do it a little bit snappier than I did for day 2, which was a little over 20 minutes. I'm going to hope to keep this under 10 minutes. Again, this is just my solution. I'm not necessarily saying it's the best solution or the most efficient solution or the quickest, but I am striving for readability and things like that and some of the general coding good practices. I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a comment or with some suggestions or some thoughts. And if you do please, like the video and all that stuff. Okay, let's jump into it. So we've got a string as our input. And what we want to do is we're essentially trying to find some numbers to multiply. And the way we find these numbers are things like this. So mul, and then a bracket, two numbers separated by a comma, and then another bracket. And that's the only way, like this, where x and y are numbers. And x and y can be 1 to 3 digit numbers. So 0 or 1 all the way up to 999. But anything like these examples give nothing. So, if it doesn't complete the pattern or there's any white spacing, that doesn't count. We go through and find all these examples and then perform the multiplication. So 25, 88, 40, and 8, and then we add them all up at the end, and that's the answer. So jumping over to VS Code. All I've done here is set up the reading in. So this is the example text, and we know we want to get to 161. So whilst it's a little bit scary and a little bit confusing sometimes, this is a perfect example for regex or regular expressions. And all this is, it's just you give some pattern because we know what kind of pattern we're looking for, and then we look through for that pattern. And I think some of like the complexity and some of like the sort of weirdness with it is that it looks quite verbose, it looks quite long, looks quite complicated, but hopefully I'll build this up in a way that's not too bad. So to start with, I just want to have all of our data in one long string. So for each of these lines, and I'm going to add it to this data just as a long string. I know the actual data is over a few lines, so I'm just going to stick them all together. So I don't think there's anything on the end, any white space on the end, but it's a good idea just to add it like this. And then if I were to print our data, it would look just like before. That's great. And then we want to now make a pattern that we're going to look through for. So I'll do it like this. So this just means that we can use some certain characters, that we can use a slash. I forget the exact term for this. I think it's unescaped string, but basically we're just going to build up a pattern that looks like this mul thing here. And so just to start with, we want it to look like, I don't know, something like this. But there are a few characters that we have to keep in mind. So the brackets are usually used for something called a capture group. And so if we just want to say the actual bracket, we can put a slash in front of it. And let's keep it like that for the pattern for now, and we'll build it up. So we can say RE, which is this, which is the library for regular expression. We can say find all, give it the pattern, and give it the thing to look for. And what that will do, it will say, I believe it gives the first one to be the whole thing, and then the rest. So it's going to give us an array of strings, and I mean we can see it now. So output is to print the output. I believe the output, the first one would be the whole thing. Is that how this? Okay, no. So it just gives the thing that it's found. So it's just found this one, for example. And if we were to put one of the other ones, 3264, it'll find 3264. Ah, sorry, this one has the bracket there. So 11 and 8, say 11 and 8, like that, it would find that one. Um, but you might say, okay, we're not really interested in the specific ones. We want any numbers here, any digits. Um, and that's where you can use /d, which is handy. And that will give any digit here. So that'll capture this one, and it will capture this one with the 8 and the 5, and the 5 and the 5 in the middle as well. But it's not capturing the one with 11 and 8, because for something like that, you would have to say this, uh, which would be 2 digits, a comma, and another digit. And we can see here the 11 and the 8. So you might be thinking, okay, how do we do a range of them? We do it like this. So this says, okay, a digit between this and this many times. So 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digits here, then a comma, and then the same thing here. And that's going to capture all of them here, which is great. That gives us all of our moles. And then for each of them, we can break it out. If you're a bit more familiar with RegEx, you could add a capture group here, which would give us directly this 2 and then this 4. I'm not going to do that now just because I know what's going to come up in the next part, but that could be something you could do. So we're going to say 4, let's say 4 captures in the moles. Actually, let's just call these captures. We want to, first I'll just show you them. I'll print that. So we've got each of these now, and we want to get a hold of this 2 and this 4. So we could split it. Split on something. So we could say split on. I did it. So what we can say is, okay, we have something here. We can chop off the first 4 parts. So we could say the capture like this, and that's going to give us 2 comma 4 here with the bracket at the end, 5 comma 5 with the bracket at the end. Oh, sorry, the other way around. And then we can say, well, split that on the comma in the middle. So that's going to give us the 2 and the 4 and a bracket at the end. And so actually before that, we could go to, this is just some nice syntax that says the not to not include the last character. So it wouldn't include the last bracket there. That gives us these. And we essentially just want to multiply these 2 bits together. So our value will be the integer part of the first one. So if we were to call this parts, we were going to take the first one and multiply it by the second one. And we were to print out these values. And we get 8, 25, 88, and 40, which is 8, 25, 88, and 40. That's what we want. And then we just want to add them all up. So maybe we could call it something like total score or total value, and then we would add one each time. So something like this. And I'm sure there's a way to do this with list comprehension because you've got this list here, but this is how I'm going to do it for ease of reading, and then print out the total value. 161, which is what we get in the example. And if I was to do this for the real data, we get this number ending in 056, which is what we have here. Now moving on to part 2, there's a slightly different example data here, but essentially we want to do the same kind of thing where we want to find all these moles, and we want to add them up. However, starting with the switch on, every time we see do or don't, we want to turn the switch on or off. So, for example, we're going through here and we'll take this mull, we hit don't, and so until the next do, we're going to just ignore everything else. And so here we would take this one, we would ignore this one, ignore this one. We see do, we start taking note again, and we do take this one. And then so it would be 2 and 4 and 8, and then 40, so it would be 48. We want that kind of thing. So the reason that I kept it like this before is because and if I just put this back to draw down, um, keeping it like this as a whole, as one singular thing rather than capture groups, means that we can add ORs onto this pattern. So if you think of the pattern for do, it's going to look something like that. That's what we want to see. And similarly for don't, we want to see something like this, apostrophe. However, just like before, the brackets being special characters means that we have to do this, and the same here, and also the apostrophe is a special character, so we have to do this. So we want a way to say, okay, get this mull pattern, the do pattern, or the don't pattern, and we can do that really easily by using this pipe operator. So it's as simple as that, really. We have these, this or this or this, and that's exactly what this means. And this in and of itself might look a little bit over-facing, but when you break it down into those parts and you see how it's been built up, that's exactly what it's trying to do. And if I was to print the captures here, you should see that it's just how we saw in the example. So there was the first mull, a don't, skip a few, a do, and then the last one. You can see here, right? So one here, a don't, skip this one, a do, and then that. And so what we want to do is just have a switch that flicks on and off. And when it's on, we'll count the value. And when it's off, we won't count the value. So similarly to this, we could have the on switch, and let's use a true or false Boolean for this. We could say, okay, if the capture looks like this, it's a do, so we'll do that. We want to turn the switch on. Even if it's already on, stay on. I'm not sure if in the data there's several do's following each other, or several don'ts, but the rules are that it would just stay on, and then you'd go to the next capture. Similarly for don't, which I think I need the escape character like that as well. We would change it to false, and then go to the next one. Then, if now we've passed these, so we know it's only the mulls here, it's the same logic as before, but we only want to do that if the on switch is true. So we could say this. And I'm sure there are ways to make this look fancier or make this look more succinct, but I think this kind of shows you how we're just doing what we did before, but only under certain circumstances. So I'm going to give this a run, and it should have this one and this one, and I believe 8 and 40, so 48 I think should be the output. Great, 48, that's exactly what we want. And if we were to use the actual data, we get, just don't print that out, we get a number here ending in 682, and if we look over here, that's the answer there, 682. Great, so hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour for RegEx. It's not something that that I think most people just instinctively know. I think there are some general things, say like, with this digit or with certain like starting characters, ending characters. But I think it's a good idea with regex just to get an idea of the basics, and then if there's anything a little bit more advanced, you can look that up at the time. But yeah, hopefully it kind of demystifies it a little bit. It's this thing or this thing or this thing, and each of the three things are a little bit simpler when we break it down. Great, so if you enjoyed that, please like the video, subscribe to see more. I'm aiming to do a video for each of the days, and I'm hoping to get them out as quick as possible. They might not be the day of the puzzle, and there might be a little bit of a backlog. There's almost certainly going to be one which stumps me and takes me a few days, but I'll try to get videos out as much as I can. But yeah, so comment, subscribe, like, and I'll see you for the next one.